India adopted a socialistic welfare state in tandem with Article 39 of the Directive Principles of State Policy. So, one of the major tool that we adopted is using subsidy for dispersing the benefits to the poor. But the scale of corruption has led our ex Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi himself to say that only 15 paise is actually reaching the intended beneficiary out of every 1 rupee released by the government. In order to solve this problem, in 2013-14, we actually mainstreamed the concept of direct benefit transfer using Jandhan, Aadhaar, and mobile. So what happened is that directly money got transferred into the hands of the public or into the accounts of the public through Jandhan accounts. So this is a major step towards financial inclusion, and it also saved a lot of money for the government. According to latest estimates, government saved up to 1.7 trillion rupees last year in PDS alone, that is, which has been the backbone of serving our migrants, that itself led to a saving of 1.7 trillion. You can imagine the impact of this. Let me quote an example of LPG cylinder. If you have to get a subsidy of say 400 rupees from the government and the actual price is somewhere around 1000 rupees, you directly pay this 1000 rupees to the a supplier, but the government will be directly transferring it to your bank account if you link it with your Aadhaar. So this is one of the success story of DBT. Can we actually extend this idea of direct benefit transfer to the next level and make governance even more accountable? That is the real challenge we have. On the left, you can actually take a look at a government school. This can be a generic picture of a lot of government schools across the country. And on the right, you can see how a lot of states, despite spending a significant chunk of amount per child, mind you, these numbers are not small. Even if you take it on the level of just the cost of infrastructure, you cannot imagine this kind of a school. The reason is accountability. There is no accountability from the officials involved. One reason being they have direct access to state funds. That is, the government directly gives them funds and they are not directly accountable to the people. Can we actually change this? Here is where we can think of e-rupee, the revolutionary idea that can transform the face of governance in our country if implemented properly. So what exactly is this e-rupee? As you can see, the description says it is a cashless and a contactless instrument for digital payment developed by NPCI, the same organization that came up with Unified Payment Interface. The second point you have to note is that it is completely digital without any physical interface, and it does not involve any intermediary. It can also be used for delivering services meant for providing drugs and nutritional support under a lot of government schemes. Let us come back to this later. Let us go back to the original example. So imagine you are a parent and you have the option to send your kid to a school 1 and another school 2. So with the help of e-rupee, the government gives the parent some vouchers. These vouchers are in the form of SMS or QR code. So if you feel that the infrastructure of school 1 is good, the teachers are coming regularly, the quality of education is good, and all the parameters that satisfy a parent is good in school 1 but not in school 2, obviously the money that is released to the parent will go to school 1 rather than school 2. So there is a sort of competition between these two government schools and the government teachers involved in these schools to perform in a better way. So this is direct empowerment of citizen to give him a choice to send this particular student to the school they want. So this is how e-rupee can actually transform the entire governance structures. The original problem that we had with DBT, that is the fact that a lot of people in rural areas are uneducated and there is a lot of digital divide. This digital divide has also been a problem To solve this both issues, we are actually utilizing a simple SMS. Now we have to trust our people with this basic SMS codes because that is some of the simplest form of governance and it is very easy to redeem as well. Therefore, this can revolutionize the entire governance structure. As you can see in the directives given by the government itself, it can be used for delivering services meant for providing drugs and nutritional support under mother and child welfare schemes, TB eradication programs, etc. So I've just extrapolated this idea to the domain of education, and you can imagine the kind of impact it will have. Right now, there are certain gaps in our DBT schemes. These DBT schemes, because of the illiteracy in rural areas, depend on banking agents. These banking agents are actually suffering huge losses in the pandemic times because the cost of transportation, etc., is barely sufficient to cover their revenue generated out of the services they give for government to facilitate this DBT. So even this issue will be solved and it will be a very cost effective solution for the government as well. Instead, these banking agents can be put to better use in rural areas and the social capital can be enhanced. So this is a very welcome step and it all depends on the viability of identifying the beneficiaries through Aadhaar. Those who are already working in the corporate world might have heard about Sodexo, a French company which partners with a lot of MNCs and gives them food coupons which can be redeemed at a lot of stores. For example, you can see this Domino's, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Cafe Coffee Day, Subway, etc. You have all the brands associated with this company. So, what is the business model of Sodexo is beyond the scope of this video, but the idea is that you give a voucher, you save certain amount of money for accepting this voucher, and in return, there are a lot of brands and services which accept this as a payment. So, this is the simplest thing that you have to know. How Sodexo is making money is beyond the scope of this video. We'll get back to that later. Now that we understood the concept, let us understand the important points for prelims exam. The first question that you have to ask is who brought out this initiative or which organization is responsible? The answer is NPCI or the National Payment Corporation of India on its Unified Payment Interface platform. So this is the first point you have to remember. Who are the other stakeholders? Since the program began as a method of delivering service for specific purposes, most probably for medical purposes, we have the National Health Authority and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in its ambit. At the same time, you also have the Department of Financial Services because it is the department responsible for disbursing funds. Now, the second prelims question that you have to expect from this area is the details about NPCI. Now, what is NPCI? NPCI is actually an initiative of RBI along with Indian Banker Association. So there are 56 banks as a part of this IBA initiative of NPCI, and the legal basis for this is Payment and Settlement Act of 2007. It is a not-for-profit company. Then what is the objective of this? It is to ensure that payment systems have uniformity. How did they achieve this? Through UPI. You also have UPI 2.0, which we'll be discussing in a different video. And the second issue is affordability. Since interoperability between different banks incurs a cost, the government came up with this initiative to promote UPI because it is a very cost effective solution for the entire ecosystem of digital banking. That is the reason why we have so much success in digital banking today. Again, coming back to the mechanism as to how this is actually going to work. Say, for example, a government or a corporate agency is willing to actually disperse funds. So in reality what happens is these corporates or the governments, let's say for example a state government approaches a bank, it's called the sponsor bank, and deposits money and gives them a list of beneficiaries by identifying them through Aadhaar. Once this is done, this bank, either it is a private bank or a public sector bank or a private bank, can do this job. They approach this organization or they use this platform eRupee, which actually creates a voucher for a specific purpose by linking it with the beneficiary's Aadhaar, and in return this sponsor bank pays the money to e-rupee. So this is how the model will work. Once the voucher is generated, the beneficiary can actually claim it as explained in the example of the school. So this is how e-rupee is going to revolutionize the system of governance in our country. As of now, it looks like the government wants to begin this with health services. Probably if we extrapolate this idea in the future, we might even expand it to other areas as well. So if you like the video and you also find this information useful and apt, you can also join the Telegram channel where newspapers will be highlighted like this and relevant portions will be explained. You can search for Hindu highlights in the search box in Telegram. This is the address of the channel, and the name of the channel is UPSC Highlights Issue Explainer. You can find that on Telegram. So please do like, share, and subscribe. That's it for now. Thank you.